We first took you underground last summer. Carter Evans joined archaeologists unearthing the bones of prehistoric mammals that roamed more than 11,000 years ago.
Very, very tight, like in a coffin. These tunnels has been open several thousand years.
Scientists make discoveries all the time. With science, man has been able to explore heights and depths that were thought to be impossible to explore. Scientists continue to explore, but sometimes the world is a case of the more you look, the less you see. Scientists sometimes are shocked by their discoveries, and the tunnels spotted in South America are one of those shocking discoveries. What monster could have dug these tunnels? What does this mean for humanity? And where do we go from here? Join us as we explore the tunnels created by ancient monsters that left scientists shocked. Paleo burrows, the anomaly of South America. Scientists have found several colossal burrows in South America that are so huge and neatly constructed that one would be forgiven for mistaking them as passageways through the forest. However, these tunnels are far more ancient than they appear. These tunnels are estimated to be at least 8,000 to 10,000 years old, and there is still no known geologic process that can explain them. These tunnels could have been passed off as just harmless tunnels, but that would not explain the massive claw marks that line the walls and ceilings. Researchers have known about these tunnels at least since the 1930s, but back then they were considered to be some kind of archaeological structures, perhaps the remains of caves carved out by our ancient ancestors. Many geologists believe that the cause of these paleo burrows was caused by a now extinct species of giant ground sloth. In 2010, geologist Amilcar Adami from the Brazilian Geological Survey decided to investigate rumors of a peculiar cave in the state of Rondônia, to the northwest of the country. Adami had gone to investigate the tunnel, and he began to press the locals for information. In the end, his perseverance was rewarded as he spotted what he had been searching for close to the border between Brazil and Bolivia. Determined to attribute it to some kind of geologic process, but once he saw it with his own eyes, he could not think of any natural process that would create such a deliberate-looking structure. He went on to describe it as something he'd never seen before. Driving along a road in southern Brazil, Heinrich Frank spotted an unusual hole amid a modern development area. It was unlike anything he had seen, so he decided to return for a closer look. Deciding that this was not a natural phenomenon, he started to look for more of them, and to his surprise, he found hundreds of them scattered across the Brazilian landscape. Now there are more than 1,500 paleo burrows that have been found in southeastern Brazil alone. And that's not all. There appear to be two different types. The smaller ones that reach up to 1.5 meters in diameter, and the bigger ones that can stretch up to 2 meters in height and 4 meters in width. It was not until Frank started climbing into the tunnels that he realized the extent of these tunnels, which can extend up to 100 meters and occasionally branch off into separate chambers. Frank observed that there is no geological process in the world that could produce long tunnels with circular or compact cross-sections with claw marks on the walls. Whilst Frank was out locating paleo burrows in the state of Rio Grande do Sul, Frank found burrows that were originally several hundred feet long. More than 1,000 total feet of tunnel have been measured in another burrow in the Gandarela Mountains, far to the north in the state of Minas Gerais. Though he has yet to investigate, Frank has received reports of one burrow more than 3,000 feet in Santa Catarina. Across the state of Rio Grande do Sul, Adami was plotting another visit to Rondônia, and in 2015 he discovered a strange tunnel that he'd spotted in the hillside was also a paleo burrow. And it was a significant discovery because that was the only paleo burrow found in the Amazon till date. It is also among the biggest paleo burrows on record, and according to Discover, the burrows are a complex system of tunnels with a combined span of about 2,000 feet, and the shafts themselves were a shocking 6 feet high, stretching to 5 feet across. In some places, Experts estimate that to dig the burrows, about 4,000 tons of debris would have been excavated to form the network. Elsewhere in the neighboring state of Santa Catarina, they recorded paleo burrows even bigger. According to reports, the top of the tunnel reaches the equivalent of several stories in height. This network is so intricate that it was thought to have been carved by humans. It was long thought that the tunnels were carved by the Sakling people indigenous to Santa Catarina. But over time, experts have come to realize that the formations date back much further. According to some estimates, these tunnels were created at least 12,000 years ago, though they could be far older than that. What could possibly dig these tunnels? So, if humans are not responsible for these tunnels, what then could be? The size of these tunnels suggests that whatever dug them must have been massive. After all, the giant armadillo, the biggest burrowing animal in South America today, digs passageways that are just 16 inches across. So, if an animal that weighs 90 pounds digs a 16-inch by 20-foot burrow, what animal could dig a burrow that is 5 feet wide and 250 feet long? While experts might not understand everything about the tunnels yet, they figure that they might know what created them. Given the size of the burrows, the animal that created them must have been super impressive. The largest mammal on the South American continent is the lowland tapirs, which can weigh up to 660 pounds. Yet, when these tunnels were created, there were far larger creatures roaming the wilds of the geographical location known as Brazil today. According to experts, the tunnels were made by a giant ground sloth, a type of megatheriid, that became extinct during the conclusion of the last ice age. These sloths were capable of growing into the size of a modern-day African elephant. These creatures reached as long as 20 feet in length and tipped the scales at almost 900 pounds. First emerging in South America some 30 million years ago, the giant sloths eventually moved into North America, as well as forested areas where they enjoyed a diet of shrubs and grasses. And when supplies on the ground ran scarce, these creatures could balance on their hind legs and retrieve food from high above. The giant sloth lived mostly in groups, but it may have singly in caves. For millions of years, the sloth did not have many enemies to bother it, for it was probably an animal that was characterized by activity during daytime and inactivity during nighttime. While it has been suggested that the giant sloth was partly carnivorous, this claim is a controversial one. Richard Farina and Ernesto Blanco of the Universidad de la República in Montevideo, while analyzing a fossil skeleton of the giant ground sloth, discovered that the part of the elbow to which the triceps muscles attached was very short. This was an adaptation that was only found in carnivores, to help optimize speed rather than strength. Initially, the giant sloths thrived on both continents, but the arrival of the Great Ice Age transformed vast swaths of the planet into frozen, inhospitable places. And like many creatures alive on the planet then, these great beasts struggled to survive in such conditions, and when the planet warmed up again, they vanished from the face of the Earth. While there are claims that some of these sloths outlived the Ice Age by some 1,000 years, there is general agreement that these creatures went extinct some 12,000 years ago. Today, the animals are known only from their fossilized remains, but experts now believe that these clawed mammals may have made their mark differently. According to Discover, Frank maintains that there are several subtypes of giant sloths that could have been responsible for carving the paleo burrows around Brazil. However, this is not the only theory that's been put forward to explain the existence of the strange ancient tunnels that crisscross the Amazon region and beyond. Some theories point to an extinct species of armadillo as the culprit behind the tunnels. Though these armadillos were much larger than their modern-day counterparts, these creatures were still dwarfed by the giant sloths and would have surely struggled to dig such large holes. Still, it's been suggested that the animals may have worked together as a team to create such burrows. For Frank, documenting these paleo burrows has become more of a life duty. Just in Rio Grande do Sul, he has identified over 1,500 burrows. And when he is not out in the field working, he is on Google scoring for photographs that might contain unnoticed examples of this phenomenon, looking for clues that might have escaped his sight initially, just to be able to provide a better explanation of how these burrows came to be. Frank described the feeling of uncontrollable excitement he gets when he steps into a well-preserved burrow, especially one with a lot of claw marks. His excitement stems from the fact that it is the home of a prehistoric animal, and he is exploring it. He even told Discover that sometimes he gets the feeling that there is a creature waiting for you around the next curve, the next turn. Are there other burrows we don't know about? Despite the proliferation of paleo burrows in Brazil, these anomalies are largely absent from surrounding countries, though both giant ground sloths and armadillos thrived across the continent. According to Discover, the formations of the burrows are most common in Rio Grande do Sul and Santa Catarina, both in the south of the country, but just across the border in Uruguay, they are practically unheard of. Also, the phenomenon appears to be uncommon in the northern part of the country. So, why are scientists mainly finding paleo burrows in the southern part of the country? And why aren't there any paleo burrows in North America, despite the creatures having been there for thousands of years? According to paleontologist Greg McDonald, an expert in giant ground sloths, there are several possible explanations for that. McDonald told Discover that they have not been spotted in North America due to the fact they've maybe been overlooked, or the fact they did not have the right type of soil that could allow the paleo burrows to stand the test of time. Of course, there is still the possibility that there is a whole network of paleo burrows out there in North America waiting to be discovered. Something could be out there, and unless someone with a little bit of curiosity takes a closer look at them, one would just assume that these are normal caves. It turns out that nobody knew about giant ground sloths until a fellow named Manuel Torres found one in 1778 in Argentina. Its fossilized bones were then sent to the Natural History Museum of Madrid, where they were assembled to show what the creature might have looked like. No one, including scientists, had ever seen anything like that. There was nothing like it in Europe or Asia. These unusual animals were native to the Americas, and it would take a contrarian to sort out the new creature. And he was a French scientist named Georges Cuvier. Cuvier was controversial for advancing the fact that species could go extinct, and their existence could be proven later using fossils. Most of his fellow scientists did not support his idea, but when he saw the drawing of the newly discovered Argentinian fossil, he concluded that it fit his theory and that this was a species of giant ground sloths that had gone extinct. One of the keys to his identification was the animal's big claws, which resembled those of the smaller sloths that can still be found in the tropical forests of South America. Many disagreed with him, but eventually he was proven right. Soon after the discovery of the Argentinian fossil, giant sloths were given an unexpected boost in popularity when a large claw and some limb bones of another were found in the United States. These claws and limbs were given to amateur paleontologists. That amateur paleontologist turned out to be Thomas Jefferson, the then Vice President of the United States. Aside from the paleo burrows that litter across Brazil, there are phenomena that scientists cannot begin to explain. Every year, especially in October, fireballs appear on the Mekong River in Thailand. According to legends, the fireballs are a call for Buddha to return to Earth, and this phenomenon is locally attributed to Phayanac, a giant serpent said to live in the Mekong. Well, this is a myth. But what explanation does science offer? Although it is related to flammable gas, there are no clear answers on what causes these fireballs to appear. These fireballs appear to rise from the water for a couple of hundred meters before disappearing. The number of fireballs is between tens and thousands per night. The fireballs are most often reported around the night of Wanok Pansa at the end of Buddhist Lent in late October. Naga fireballs have been reported over approximately 250 kilometers, around 160 miles. The fireballs were called ghost lights by the locals until the mid-1980s, when the local council renamed them the Phaya-Nak lights. Another scientific explanation involves a phenomenon seen in plasma physics. Free-floating plasma orbs, created when surface electricity from a capacitor, for example, is discharged during a solution. However, these are produced under controlled conditions during the plasma ball experiments using high-voltage capacitors, microwave oscillators, or microwave ovens rather than naturally occurring. So it would be wrong to assume that this is the cause of the fireballs. Also, in November 1922, an Egyptologist walked through the desert mountains of Egypt and discovered some ancient steps carved into the rock. This accidental find would go on to become one of the world's largest and most significant archaeological discoveries. This was what led to the discovery of Pharaoh Tutankhamun's untouched tomb. Archaeologists found about 5,000 ancient objects, including jewelry. Tut's tomb was untouched because of the tomb's low entrance, dug into the floor of the valley. This allowed its entrance to be hidden by debris deposited by flooding and tomb construction. More than 100 years have passed since the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb, and now humanity is inching closer to the discovery of Cleopatra's tomb. Cleopatra was the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt. Queen Cleopatra ruled Egypt from 50 to 30 BC. Cleopatra was the descendant of a Macedonian Greek general and the companion of Alexander the Great. Her first language was the Koine Greek, and she was the only Ptolemaic ruler to learn the Egyptian language. There are many ancient records about Cleopatra, her reign, and her unusual personality. But until now, no one has discovered the secret of her burial place. Kathleen Martinez, someone who has been studying ancient records and temples around Alexandria for decades, concluded that the tomb of the queen should be located under the ancient city of Taposiris Magna, founded in 280 BCE. It was a big city on the northern coast of Egypt where tens of thousands of people were engaged in trade and industry, and it seems that Dr. Martinez's guesses might be correct. She and a group of archaeologists have discovered a secret underground tunnel near Alexandria with a length of 0.8 meters. It was cut into the rock under Taposiris Magna's temple. During further excavations, they found many things that indicate Cleopatra's tomb lies in the tunnel's depth. It's also possible that she is buried there together with the Roman commander Mark Antony. According to ancient records, Cleopatra and Mark loved each other, and together opposed the Roman Senate, which declared Antony a traitor. The fact that natural disasters have occurred on the territory of Taposiris Magna for thousands of years can complicate the excavations. Earthquakes and floods destroyed the city and possibly flooded its underground tunnels, but archaeologists hope that the ancient tombs remain untouched and that it hides many treasures and records about the royal life of ancient Egypt during the reign of the last dynasty. There is a chance that excavations will go underwater and in the mud. This will require much time and funding, but archaeologists are sure it will be worth it. Anyway, it is still too early to say that Cleopatra is buried there. However, scientists have found many things in the tunnel that indicate this, including clay pots and dozens of coins with the image of Cleopatra and Alexander the Great. Cleopatra remains, to this day, is still one of the most popular personalities in Egypt, even on an equal foot with Ramesses III and Tutankhamun. She has been the source of inspiration for many films, paintings, and books. But what made her so famous is because she was super intelligent and used her intelligence to pull Egypt out of the crisis and made it into a prosperous nation. Arabi's texts say she knew chemistry, mathematics, and philosophy, and may have even written scientific texts. She had excellent diplomatic skills, and she was a beauty, and her beauty had men wrapped around her fingers. It is important to note that Cleopatra's existence is closer to today's world than she is closer to the pyramids. Perhaps it is when her tomb is found that we can confirm some rumors about her life. Tunnels aren't the only thing leaving scientists shocked. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and check out another of our interesting videos before you leave.